Hey, everybody, and welcome back to MLR Weekly as presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City. Thank you for joining us. It's much appreciated. Today, we have National Collegiate Rugby CEO Jeremy Treece, Thomas Grant of the New England Free Jacks at the New York 7s tournament, Grenada 7s head honcho Brian Stollmeyer, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, and Brian Ray of America's Rugby News. Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, New York City, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Let's start with a quick look at the New York 7s and a conversation with Thomas Grant of the New England Free Jacks. Thomas Grant, New England Free Jacks, were here in the house at the New York 7s tournament, and you were a big reason. Tell me what you guys were doing down here.
We're in your house, put that right. We're down here, 5 academy teams, boys, girls, men, women, having some fun on beautiful Randall's Island, and it means we can catch up with beautiful humans like yourself. So,
oh well, this isn't about me, Thomas. It's about you guys, and I was really impressed to see the branding, the Free Jacks branding down here with 5 teams.
5 teams, yeah.
5 teams, so MLR presence here at the 7s tournament.
Absolutely. No, we love it. It's an opportunity for the kids to play some rugby, which is always number one, and if we can come out here and get the Free Jacks crest in front of people, it's always a plus. But yeah, it's convenient for us. It's only a short drive, as you know, so yeah, happy to do it.
So, what you saw today, any potential MLR players, any Eagles perhaps?
Oh, for sure. Like our high school boys programs are doing really well. I think there's some good ones in there. Look out for the Blind triplets. I think they're heading to Army next year or the year after. So they're going to be on your radar, but there's some really good talent.
And how about on the female side?
Oh, absolutely. Our U23 All-Stars won the tournament this year. There's some good ones coming through that'll be pushing for that Boston WER side next year. So, yeah, plenty of talent on the women's side. They won the trophy as well, so massive credit.
Let's see that trophy.
There we go. This is the men's one, and the women's have taken it home because I trust them. So, there you go.
All right, so any American-sounding fly halves in the pipeline?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. We do actually have one in our Junior Jacks ranking, so you can keep an eye on him. We've got Jack Townsend in the Junior Jacks, who's U18s. And then our U23 fly half, there's a kid, Patrick Brennan, who's doing really well, and Jackson Everts, who represented the USA U23s at the Rugby Town 7s. And he's also got a final with Holy Cross coming up in Houston. So, yeah, he's one to look out for.
Thanks for taking the time out. We'll see you next time.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
We have overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the Lord. We have overcome.
All right, John, uncharacteristically, we didn't start with you this week. I apologize, but we had the New York 7s and we had Tom Grant, as you saw, Wheels of the Free Jacks, who had a presence at the New York Rugby Club 7s tournament, NY7s, another spectacular event. Crisp, cold, but bright sunshine on the island of Manhattan. Anywho, how are you? Welcome back to MLR Weekly.
Hey, man, I'm doing great. It's a little chilly, though, here on the East Coast. That's why I got this on. Cold.
Well, working in rugby doesn't actually pay the heating bills.
I just hope Brian Ray's able to heat up his igloo,
That's the thing. If you heat it up, doesn't it melt? That's why he's always angry. Yeah. All right, what do you got for us, John?
Well, Matt, speaking of the New England Free Jacks, MLR, it's Kitmas, Matt. Ding, ding, ding. It's the holiday season. Kudos to MLR for getting out the 2025 jerseys before the big shopping season, or right in the start of it, if you will. So Major League Rugby released all 11 jerseys for the teams in the 2025 season. Matt, the New England Free Jacks, there's a few standouts here. Let's start with the New England Free Jacks. They got the classic stripes or hoops or whatever you want to call it. But if it
may I
ain't...
stop you in your tracks here for a second, because you're the guy that's deeming what's cool fashionable, and you always look like an unmade bed when you come on this show. No offense.
Well, I used to be the creative director for Dior, so that tells you everything you need to know.
So you got fired for looking like a slob at the job. Anyway, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, the New England Free Jacks jerseys do not look like slobs. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It looks solid. Chicago Hounds, they again nailed it solid, going with, you know, the river theme up there with the green and the stripes. It looks fantastic. I also like the Utah Warriors. The mountain, they brought it back. It's big, it's bold, it's fantastic. But Matt, the best one, and kudos for the Miami Sharks for doing. They really leaned into that Miami Vice this year. It looks spectacular with the blue and the black and the stripes and the shark fin and all that good stuff. The Sharks one, fantastic. Did you see them?
I have, and I don't necessarily disagree with you on any of this, but it's amazing for somebody that has no discernible taste for you to be absolutely correct. What else you got for us, John?
Well, I need to know, Matt, where do you get all your jackets from?
I have a jacket person, a jacket salesman. I get them mostly at the haberdashery because they have a little room on the side. Custom, of course, all of them. Next.
Matt, I know this is a real quick segment for me, so before I get out of here, we got to bring up Ilona Maher, right?
Yeah.
I heard this is bear country, but there are actually bears here. Because I don't know are grizzly bears the nice ones? What about black bears are the mean ones, right? No one knows? Okay. I'm so excited to join the Bristol Bears and play Premiership women's rugby with and against some of the best rugby players in the world.
Yeah, what an accomplishment.
Hear me out on this, Matt. Hear me out on this. She signed a 3-month contract with the Bristol Bears. The PWR season ends in the middle of March. Women's Elite Rugby, the new professional women's rugby league, starts here in the U.S. in April. What a coup would be if they brought Ilona to the U.S. If I'm running the show at Women's Elite Rugby, I go to Ilona, I say, name your price to play and to promote the league. You line up investors and you just pay her what she's worth. Boom, let's go.
And we love rumors. All right, on that note, I want to thank Mr. John Fitzpatrick calling in from D.C., Washington, D.C., with this week's Rugby Mornings Coffee Break. Thank you, John. Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, can you send more money for a wardrobe, please?
We'll be right back with Mr. Brian Stollmeyer of the Grenada 7s after this.
Digs like a demented mole there.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now.
And we are back, and we're back with Mr. Brian Stollmeyer of the Grenada 7s.
Thanks very much for having me.
Grenada 7s. It's not Grenada. You say tomato, I say tomato. It's Grenada. It's not, you don't have a choice, right?
It is. There's no choice, and there's only one Grenada. It's a beautiful island. Wow.
Perfect.
And you can find out.
And Brian, for the folks at home that can't figure it out, where are you from originally?
I'm from Trinidad, which is just a few miles south of Grenada. Another island.
To the naked ear or the uneducated ear, your accent almost sounds like Scottish meets South African meets something else.
Well, I spent 4 years at University in Scotland, and that's probably why I'm Scottish.
All right, so tell us about the history of the tournament.
Okay, we really started this tournament in the 80s when the Trinidad Rugby Union decided that it would not enter a team in the Caribbean Championships, which was a 15-a-side championships, which we had in the Caribbean going for many years. And for whatever reason at that time, they decided they weren't going to do it. those of us who were involved playing for Trinidad became very friendly with a lot of the guys from the other islands. And so as a result of that, we wanted rugby to continue in the Caribbean. We couldn't do it on a 15-a-side basis because it was just too expensive. So we got together and decided to do a tournament, an annual tournament for sevens. And at that time, there was a regional airline called Yeats, and they agreed to cut their prices for anybody coming to Trinidad for the tournament. And they were our major sponsor as a result of that. And so it started there. And that was in the mid-80s, I guess. And it has gone on since then, except for COVID, basically. The 2 years that we had COVID. And every year we have a bunch of people involved and helping, and it's a lovely tournament that brings everybody together, you know. That's a real history. We went from Trinidad to Tobago. We had it in Tobago in the 2008, 9, 10, that sort of thing. I think that kind of time. And then we went to Barbados. I had a very good friend from Barbados, George Nicholson, who worked with me. Very sadly, George died earlier this year.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy. So we're missing him this year terribly. But otherwise, we're in Grenada now, and Grenada's very special. Lovely place. Lovely place.
I'm going to be down there, and I'm very excited about coming down to work with John Broker and the rest of the gang broadcasting this thing. And we will have a live stream, which is cool. See, the reason I have you on MLR Weekly is because you've had a sprinkling of some very good players run through that tournament over the years, even some guys that can play professionally or might have the opportunity to play professionally. And I know that Steve Lewis, who was the general manager of Rugby New York in Major League Rugby, will be down there, and he's like always scouting. So it's had some pretty good players run through.
He is, and I know you know Steve Lewis. I mean, it's very upsetting to me that you do. He happens to
join the club.
Yeah, he happens to be a good friend of mine as well. So
excellent. So what's your favorite thing about the tournament?
I think that, to tell you the truth, the camaraderie amongst the players, it's just fabulous. I mean, the standard is good. And it's everybody enjoys it. And to me, bringing enjoyment to people playing rugby, yeah, you can't get more satisfaction than that. That's wonderful for me.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I got to pack my bag, so we got to end this call. But I thank you for coming on MLR Weekly, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in person.
Thank you very much, Matt. I'll be at the airport to meet you with a cold stag beer. There's another sponsor of ours. Okay.
I'll welcome that just because I don't want to be rude. I don't want to turn down anybody's beers. You know, I don't want to be rude, Brian. All right, buddy. Good talking to you. And that's Mr. Brian Stollmeyer of the Grenada 7s. We'll be right back after this.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
Hey, U.S. fans, you can tune into every match live on Flow Rugby. How do we know that? Because we're on there all the time. If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street. This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained? And we're back, and we have the pleasure of welcoming in Mr. Jeremy Treece, the CEO of National Collegiate Rugby, the NCR. Jeremy, welcome back to MLR Weekly.
Hey, Matt. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of yours, and that's no lie.
Well, I appreciate it. Likewise, sir. Right back at you. I know that you guys work hard to bring college rugby into the homes across America. And before we get to the good stuff, college rugby, let's get some of the uncomfortable stuff out of the way. Just a couple, 3 years ago, we had an extremely complicated landscape on the American college rugby landscape. Recently, though, it's been whittled down to, on the men's side, basically two entities. NCR, which is not yet under the USA Rugby umbrella, and CRAA, the College Rugby Association of America, which is. And just recently, however, we had a lawsuit drop, and it was like a bomb exploding on the American rugby landscape again. Referee Justin Hale is suing USA Rugby basically for being disqualified for calling a CRAA event after he did an NCR event. What can you, and then NCR put out a statement in support of Mr. Hale. What can you tell us or elaborate about this?
Yeah, so our position is in that statement. We support Justin in his mission for justice, and we support all referees and their ability to referee rugby anywhere they want, without any hindrance or threat of intimidation or bullying or anything like that. So we stand behind the referees, and we stand behind Justin in his attempt to seek justice in this suit. Our goal is always, to unify college rugby and play more rugby together as our organization. We've always said we've supported the USA Rugby and the national teams and their goals, to grow the game. And we're trying to grow the game. We're just growing it at the college level. And, we would love to have a partnership with USA Rugby. But, Justin's going to do what he does, and we support that. And we just hope that USA Rugby will come to their senses, and hopefully, we can put this all behind us and we can move forward. We would hope someday that we could unify, one national championship, mainly at the, the Division I level, because we already have it at the Division III and Division II level on the men's side and women's side.
Yeah, I won't give you any argument there, but I would say that when you're missing the Cals, you're missing Army, you're missing St. Mary's, and the list isn't that long, but it's a frustratingly short list to not be included under one umbrella.
100%. We've put proposals forward to those to some of those coaches and about a unification project to unify college rugby over the next 2 years. So we'll see where that goes. We'll see if I think sevens is probably the easiest thing to unify first, because everyone agrees that the National Sevens Championship should be in the spring. There's nobody arguing that on either side. So if we can get to a sevens unification first, I think that's probably the easiest thing to accomplish, in the short term. And then the 15s conversation is something that's probably going to have to happen over a long conversation.
You've got college championships. You've got the women's coming up this weekend, and then I'll be down in Houston for the men's the following weekend. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's the most exciting 2 weeks in college rugby. We have our women's championship this weekend, December 7th and 8th, down in Houston. We have our men's Division I and Division I AA semifinals and Penn State Berks on December 7th. And then we have the men's national championship on December 13th through the 15th down in Houston. And there's 21 matches over those 2 weekends. You can watch it on TRN and tune in and watch. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
So I got
a lot of great matchups. I'm looking forward to a lot of phenomenal female athletes that are going to be competing this weekend. There could, there's the next women's star, we could find. There's going to be a lot down there. So
there is good reason why it's behind a paywall. Why don't you explain that for us?
Yeah, it's a TRN Plus. It's basically a pay-per-view for both weekends. NCR, college rugby doesn't have a big television sponsor. We don't have television contracts. And these productions are very expensive to put on, because we put on, high quality 7-camera, streams. We're going to have a TMO this year for the
I heard that's excellent.
Yeah, sponsored by Next Level Rugby and Ryan Ginty. So he's sponsoring that TMO, which is fabulous for us. It's expensive, and because rugby hasn't had big sponsors and big TV contracts, this is how we have to pay for it.
Give me. You got some exciting finals coming up and semifinals coming up. We got St. Bonaventure and Brown and Queens, and who's Queens playing?
Wheeling,
yes.
Wheeling, yeah, down in West Virginia. Yeah, great. Mike Geibel's done a fantastic job down there, and I think both of those matches are going to be phenomenal. You got Kentucky and UMass. You've got Virginia Tech is playing. They are playing Bowling Green. The Mazzarella father and son team there,
right.
And it's going to be great. Holy Cross, Duke, Townsend, Northern Iowa, Norwich, IUP. And I'll tell you, I don't know what they're feeding those boys and girls out in Colorado, but Colorado School of Mines is in the semifinals on the women's side, playing Wisconsin Platteville. Franciscan University Barons, my alma mater, who didn't make the regional championship this year, but my son plays for them, and they have a scrum half named Joe Bob, who will be an MLR scrum half some way. He's the best scrum half in the country.
Excellent. Like hearing that. Love hearing that. All right. I look forward to seeing you down in Houston, sir. Thank you to Mr. Jeremy Treece of NCR.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll be right back with Mr. Brian Ray of America's Rugby News after this. And we are back with Mr. Brian Ray, who has given up covering rugby for a living and is now selling shirts. Brian, how are you? Which is the hottest one? What's the hot cake? What's the fastest seller?
Shirts are hard to find in Canada. I don't know if you know, but we also need 2 or 3 of them at a time. On occasion. Certainly, we're heading into that season. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I love the Free Jacks jersey. I know some people will say, "Well, it's the same stripes or whatever." I don't care. I think it's great. I think it's classic. In general, I think they did a good job on the home kits. I think there's a few kind of uninspired offerings amongst the away kits that are kind of mostly white. I will say, San Diego fans might be wondering if they're going to get a little bit more attention paid to their. I think of all the kits, the ones that look the most bland to me are San Diego's, which is disappointing because they used to have some pretty sharp kits. I don't know why they got this black and white thing going on when their colors have traditionally been, black and red or white and red. I don't know what's going on there.
Who knows? But you know what? Things tend to change, so maybe they'll give it a shot, see how it goes. And does it really matter if your team is kicking ass on the field? I don't think so. I think people. Well, their tastes will change.
I guess, but San Diego might want to start kicking ass on the field before they can claim that too.
All right, fair enough. And earlier in the program, John Fitzpatrick was all over. He was gushing about the kits, gushing about them. So. And I told him he had no discernible taste and he looks like an unmade bed because that's the fact. Jack. Anyway, what do you got for us, Brian? What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. What is there to talk about? What's going on?
What do you mean, what is there to talk about? We got a season happening soon.
We got
the schedule fixed, sort of.
We're still waiting on some of the rosters, which have been, I thought we were in a good place. The last show we did, we were kind of talking about, hey, things are heating up a bit. Things have been moving a little bit slower than I would have liked in that time. But we did, however, get some interesting signings from LA. Certainly Tim Anstey coming over from the Western Force. Pretty solid Australian flanker, played Australian sevens, rangy guy. He'll be in the blind side, I think. And they got a hooker, Ben Sugars, who is playing with the Waratahs, actually English. So I don't know, maybe they kicked him out to play in Australia or something. But
serving a sentence?
Yeah. But obviously the big name there, Gonzalo Bertranu, the Pumas' current starting scrum half for Argentina. That's a big deal for the league to get a tier 1 international, a current. Matias Orlando playing at Miami as well. But Bertranu, he's arguably first choice at number 9 for the Pumas. So that's a great pickup for LA. He's really going to impress. I think. Obviously we got Kupeli playing at Miami too. Bertranu's in his prime now. They've signed him for 3 years. What a statement of intent for them, to bring him in. So I think that's really impressive and a good sign for LA. They're going to have some significant turnover in their squad this year, but certainly fans have got to like to see names like that coming over.
Yeah, sure. They downsized in the stadium aspect and put the money back into players, it looks like, which is a great sign. Fill that stadium, have it making noise, make it look good on TV. UCLA's campus, which is spectacular. And now you've got some players that are very significant. So good stuff by LA. You're right. What else, Brian? Anything catch your eye, like from NOLA, for instance?
Yeah, really interesting. They put an executive summary of their kind of project, long-term 7-year project through to 2031. Of course, they got significant new ownership, some certainly well-financed French group coming in and taking over there, They put a couple of really interesting, tidbits in that document. Number one was their budget from day one up till now. I don't think any other team has done that. And you look at the massive increase from 2 years ago to last year. They almost doubled their budget last year. So obviously that's a sign things are going in the right direction there. That was really interesting. And also really interesting to see their kind of, we know their stadium is going to get a bit of a facelift. It's a multi-million-dollar project has been approved by the town council, and they're going to get some money for that. But this kind of like a design mock-up of what certainly they'd like to see, and it includes a couple like practice fields, a whole expansion on that area. I thought that was really interesting to see, and certainly for a team that's maybe kind of been on the lower end as far as dishing out. They're having a lower budget anyways, and maybe
Tim Falcon's been taking that out of his wallet.
Yeah, exactly, and maybe not having the biggest fan base, of the original franchises. It seems like they're really, moving in that right direction, and I think fans in New Orleans have got to be pretty pleased there. And that's not to say about their squad; it's just looking significantly upgraded from last year as well. So good signs for NOLA, I would say.
Well, you are remarkable. You had absolutely nothing to say, and then here you go. You just continue to produce. Amazing, Brian, right? Amazing. God bless you. Now, but before you go, quick question. John Fitzpatrick was wondering, in your igloo, when you have a fire or a heat source in your igloo, doesn't it melt the igloo?
These are secrets that only the Canadians can know, and they're not willing to share anybody. We can't have you Americans stealing what we do up here in the North, stealing our survival tactics. So you're just going to have to look that one up in the old intertubes.
All right, we'll get Les Stroud on it. All right. Thank you, Mr. Brian Ray of America's Rugby News. Thanks to John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning. Thank you to Mr. Jeremy Treece of the NCR. Thanks to Thomas Wheels Grant of the New England Free Jacks, Mr. Brian Stollmeyer of the Grenada 7s, and thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out the critically acclaimed and fun The Rugby Odds. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Sign up for our weekly newsletter. Please tell your friends about us, and please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.